Welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And as you may be aware, the biggest issue that we'll be looking at will be the matter of the Professor Frimpong Boateng's report that he submitted to the presidency in March, written in March 2021, that has now, as we suspect, because it has become a document for police to do their investigations, that has been ordered by the president. It has been leaked, and everybody else is talking about it. In my introduction, I said 2019, 2021, I meant. That one, and of course, the issues affecting the media are important. And the University of Ghana Department of Communication Studies have taken time to do a comprehensive study. They are going to do so every 3 years to tell us about the state of the media. They have issues with ownership of media, some of it very opaque. Politicians are having conglomerates of media entities for setting propaganda benefit. That doesn't help the country's development. They have issues with that. And journalists that are poorly paid, they are abused, and the majority of the abusers are state actors. You believe that? Yeah, that's true. For some of us who have been representing journalists in courts, most of the times we are aware of these. They are poorly paid, 500 Ghana cedis. Some are paid even less than that. Now, let's get to my take now. Samson's Take. I'm continuing from where I left off last week. So this is part 2, where I say act professionally, stop the abuse. So last week it was generally about the unconstitutional and unlawful conduct by law enforcement agents against the people who pay for the uniform and the gun. The uniform and the gun which they use to abuse those who pay for them. I spoke about my shock and utter disappointment about officers from as high as the IGP's office impounding a media house branded vehicle carrying staff of Joy FM to cover news of the arrest or investigation of the NPP youth organizer last Thursday. It was unlawful and such an abuse, egregious abuse of the prosecutorial discretion. They could not cover the event at the police headquarters, but the next day, the driver was set free and the vehicle was released upon a court order by a judge who repeated his caution to the police to stop impounding vehicles when they are not evidence of crime in suspected traffic offenses. I mentioned that the wrongs are also suffered by junior officers in the army and police, where some are subjected to indignities, as though the constitution that we are practicing, the constitutional democracy, ends at the front of the barracks. Dear Ghana Army, listen to me. The Constitution's requirement that people suspected of committing crimes are presumed innocent until admitted or proven, and that a person restricted, arrested, or detained can only be kept in custody beyond 48 hours by permission of a court, applies to you, the Ghana Army. All security agencies, for that matter. Our courts have held that your regulation allowing you to hold an officer in custody, or what you call your guard room, for 90 days is unconstitutional. I am very sure you are aware of ex parte Captain Daniel Nietzsche, where the High Court held in the human rights action that your own regulation, which allows you to hold your officers under discipline in the guard room for 90 days, is unconstitutional. Therefore, you are subject to hold them before trial, that is court-martial, or whatever you want to do, for within the same time that the police is allowed to hold any person. That is 48 hours. Now, how do you explain why one officer, as we speak, has been in your guard room since November 2022 without a charge and has not been tried? His lawyers have written to you and you have ignored it. A chief of defense staff, this is a democracy. The army is not beyond the rules that govern us. This military officer was so abused, he alleges, that he decided to resign from the army. He sent 3 different resignation letters, all of which were not respected. So what did he do? He got a lawyer, filed the case in the court, and has been pursuing that case. You sent your military police to arrest him in the courtroom. The judge was angry about your conduct. You don't do that in a democracy. Enter a courtroom to arrest someone. So, right after the court process, on that day, November 2022, you arrested him. You took him, to the Burma camp, and then later he was taken to the Michelle camp, and he's been in the guard room since then, without a charge and without a trial. Please, this is a democracy. We are aware of many soldiers who have been turned very timid, soldiers who are supposed to be bold. They can't talk because they are afraid they'll be victimized and they can't tell where the next meal will come from. So, please do the needful and ensure that this officer is released forthwith. Because by your own rules, even if you were sticking to your rule that has been declared unconstitutional, after 90 days, if the person is not put on trial, they are supposed to be released. And this person had originally been tried and discharged. How do you explain what is going on? So, do the needful immediately, else you won't like what will happen. It is wrong to do what you are doing, and it must be said. It cannot be said that some officers who are commanders at various levels are doing this impunity without the hierarchy knowing. You cannot be absolved. The Chief of Defense Staff. I'm in a privileged position where I've represented soldiers, I've represented police people in court and out of court. So I know that the abuse goes on. The Galamsey matter we are about to discuss now, there are over a dozen officers who at a point in time were muted and some were put through a disciplinary process because they were telling the world, they wanted the opportunity to tell the world that some of your big men were the ones behind the Galamsey. And that's why they were being sent to protect some of the people there. I'm ending on the note that I have promised to end every day, every weekend, that Ashaman is fresh on our minds. I join the CDD and Occupy Ghana and all well-meaning Ghanaians who say that you must take action on that dastardly, unconstitutional and unlawful treatment of our citizens. That is my take. Now, this show, as always, is brought to you by the kindest sponsorship of Bank of Africa, as strong as a group, as close as a partner, MTN everywhere you go, Ashasi University, educating ethical and entrepreneurial leaders for Africa. Robert & Sons Optical Services, your comprehensive eye care service provider for 31 years. My Way Insurance. Dial 165 hash, star 165 hash on the MTN to join. Duraplast. How you get your water matters. Remember, where Duraplast goes, water flows. DBS Industries. Roofing Papa Fie. Rehoboth Social Housing. Your housing dreams become reality. We'll be right back.